Hi everyone, I'm Willem.
And I'm Tim.
And this is another episode and attempt of Hear Me Out Pitch. Funny enough, I should have kept it. I should have kept the audio, but we recorded a good 30 minutes yesterday. We both looked at each other and we said, no.
I got very little sleep the night before, and Willem was sick.
Yeah, I didn't go to work today. I'm finally feeling better after some
Miracle water.
Miracle juice of spinach, mango, orange. I need to buy ginger and turmeric for my own personal concoctions, but that'll be for later. But yeah, it's been a kind of a sick week. Hopefully it gets gone by the end of the week. So, but yeah, hopefully you're all doing good. And we were attempting yesterday to come up with another story like we did with our teddy bears. Our teddy bear story. Should edify, it's about a teddy bear story, not about our teddy bears. And we had a great idea from Ethan, but as Tim and I were talking off recording and even during our last little recording session, we realized that it would be a lot better if we have, at least for recording 1.5 to 2 hours, we need more of a stronger sentence than something so broad. So Ethan, thank you for the suggestion, and we definitely will come back to those two someday, but we're going to move along from those. Because I think coming up with a raw, from scratch story from such a, like, I don't know how authors do it, but it must take, it takes years for books. So it does take a single spark to have a single idea to make a story, but the process, the world building, the characters, making sure those characters interact, making sure their backstories interact, making sure everything is smooth, continuity. Ugh. So my question is, though, why is it that we have these movies that are just 2 hours long and they struggle? You have so much to work with, but your goal is just to make like the teddy bear story made up. I really think that would be a decent kids movie. I'll say distance just to be humble, but it was cute.
I'm gonna be a little bit selfish and pat ourselves on the two of us on the back. I cannot English today.
No, English is hard, but you're not allowed to talk in Spanish. Well, I mean, we could do a Spanish episode, but I won't understand you.
Last week's episode, Teddy Bear thing, would be a great movie, and if it were made into a movie, it would sit on my shelf proudly, and it would be weathered and used because I would watch it again and again and again because it's just such a cute idea.
It is so cute. So I guess you kind of talked about bringing a notebook full of stuff, and today we kind of...
Yeah, I brought the notebook. I made the notes on my phone, so I'm transcribing them into a notebook.
Okay, I see. But I think finally I'm going to make a video, and our goal is that you guys give us, because I've seen Instagram reels, TikToks of people who make up simple stories, like one-sentence stories, or they make, like, the challenge is the first sentence that you use in your book must also be the last sentence in your book. And it's like, whoa, some of those were my brain was firing. So I'm like, maybe we should start making videos like that and have you guys comment. And then whichever one gets liked the most or whichever one we go, ooh, then we'll grab it. We'll take it. So we want this to be a more interactive podcast with you guys. So that's the goal. And I know that probably that means you'd want to see our faces, but I'm the kind of guy that listens to podcasts, not watches. So someday I would hope you guys see our faces, but for now, just enjoy our voices in our very crude amateuristic audio. Also, Tim, nice shirt. I just realized what it is.
Thanks.
That is awesome.
It's a very retro Star Wars
That
shirt.
is. That's like something that came straight out of the 80s. That's awesome.
I searched on Amazon and I was like, retro Star Wars. And this was the first shirt that popped up. And I was like, I have to have that one.
What team is he? Is Luke in the gold or is he in red?
Red.
Okay.
He's red 5.
Red 5. I've always wanted to like have just a R5 shirt, and people will be like, "What's that?" And then it just shows his ship going in the back. So
that'd be cool.
That would be cool. Anyway, I'm still kind of out of it, and you have the book of all the knowledge, so I'm gonna pass it to you.
I don't have the book with all the knowledge. I have a notebook that has my notes.
Oh,
from anything from the Star Wars episodes from earlier to my insurance information.
Oh,
to, well, not the actual information, just notes I took while I was talking to somebody, to a Dungeons and Dragons idea for a monster, to a bunch of random names that I could use for bad guys. Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay.
I was thinking today, and I did get a couple new ideas that I could add to my notes. Just the ideas. So there's this notes page. I have a dozen or so ideas for stories, whether that be a D&D adventure, a movie, a book, a graphic novel, a series. I just have a bunch of them, and there's a couple that I think could be really fun to talk about, and maybe expand on. But I'm gonna share a couple of these. There's one in particular that I think would be really, really cool, but I'll hit that one last. The first idea is kind of a dystopian setting where you know it's after some big war broke out, and it's the aftermath. Everybody's struggling, and new laws have been put in place to make sure that nothing like that ever happens again. The classic dystopian style. And this story would follow a young girl who has a chronic illness.
Oh.
Not in a typical sense. She has a chronic illness where she finds everything hilarious, and she just constantly laughs. And laughing is outlawed. And so, therefore, she has been deemed an outlaw and is not allowed in any cities or anything. She has to live out on her own. I think that could be really interesting.
Oh my gosh. Okay, where? All right.
I'm imagining like almost like a main city being like kind of a steampunk type city that's rebuilding, and then everything else is kind of Wild West style, kind of reverting back to that. And laughing is outlawed.
Why is laughing? Okay, first off, I have a title idea just for craps and giggles.
Okay.
She Who Laughs.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have to stick, but that's the first thing that pops into my head. And it's so... And already, I'm already getting like a Joker inspiration. Because I don't know if you've seen...
It would be less... It would be less of the Joker and more just like a girl who genuinely is laughing and finding things funny.
Well, so in the not Quentin Tarantino, wow, the Joaquin Phoenix movie that he won an Oscar for, the character Arthur, who becomes the Joker, he's a terrible comedian, isn't that funny, but he has this condition. he laughs. It's actually very. I encourage anyone, if you have to find like an edited version, if the R rating is kind of scary for you, I think the descent of one man into madness, I think it's one of the best movies ever to at least watch once. Because it doesn't even feel too much like Joker. Like, don't even compare this to Heath Ledger's Joker or Mark Hamill's Joker. It's just a descent of a man, and it just happens to take place in Bruce Wayne's world. It was, and so, okay, so She Who Laughs. I'm like imagining a combination of Vin and Joker in a kind of positive aspect. Is that how you say your name, Vin?
Yeah.
I'm very bad with names, you know this. And I think she's one of the best female female main characters I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Even like
same.
Lara Croft is another one of them. Ripley from Aliens. Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. Aloy. What'd I say? Alloy. Sorry. Aloy. Again, I'm bad with names.
Aloy's another good one.
So I love. Okay, I think this would be a lot of fun. I like this idea a lot. So why?
I have no idea why.
Why it's banned?
I just think it could be funny, and it would be a little bit, the irony,
Do we want to have that sentient, whether they're aliens, robots, or maybe people kind of become like a twisted version of Vulcans, no emotion, and laughing to them is just like the worst thing of humans, because it is like, and as someone who has a very distinct laugh,
your laugh is wonderful, Willem.
Thanks. As someone who has a laugh that can make people that can be very loud, and I don't even know where I'm going with this. I've had dirty looks from my laugh. I've had people judge me for my laugh. I've had people tell me to be quiet because of my laugh. And so I understand the kind of... I know what it's like to laugh in places you don't normally laugh.
Mm-hmm.
If I've ever got... Oddly enough, the Joker movie, that movie is not a movie you're supposed to laugh at, especially who the main character is. And there's a scene where this terrible thing happens, and there's this high tension. You don't know if he's going to kill a character or not, and the tension was high. And it's a small person. A small person's trying to use a door after witnessing this awful murder by Arthur, and he can't reach the lock, and he turns around, and it was high tense. The whole theater was nervous. You could feel it, and I started laughing because I was so terrified. And after the movie, I heard a couple talking and overheard one of them go, "That laugh really scared me halfway through the movie," and I went, "No."
That's funny.
So I don't know. Point being, I really like this idea, and so I think a society that is losing emotion, hates emotion, whether it be robots, Vulcans, or aliens. Because I don't want to do like a silent place, a quiet place.
I don't want to do anything like that. I do want it to be, people live normal, and maybe laughter. Someone was laughing when as they pressed the button for a nuclear bomb or something, and that's why it's outlawed.
Oh,
something like that. I don't know. Just ideas. I don't know. And we can come back to this. I do have a couple other ideas that I want to put out there. Another one, I thought this one could be funny. I woke up this morning and I was just remembering something that had happened the night before, where I explained this to Willem, but I had woken up and I was wondering where my shirt had gone. And I was it was kind of freaking me out a little bit. And I woke up this morning and I was like, what if what if I had dreamt that I took off my shirt, and then it happened in real life, and then it just kind of came into this thing where, what if there's a main character in a story, in a book or movie or whatever, where when he dreams, stuff from his dreams leak into reality. So, like, you know, he's dreaming about a robbery, and he's the robber, and he ends up robbing a bank, and then he wakes up and there's money just sitting in his apartment. Or he dreams about meeting a beautiful woman, and they go on a date, and he wakes up and there's, you know, a love note sitting on his bedside table or something. So stuff like that, where it's like he dreams about something and then it just manifests in a tangible way in the real world.
Did you watch? And I know that I immediately thought of Moon Knight. Did you ever watch Moon Knight?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought kind of maybe he had a split personality doing stuff again, because I thought that was Moon Knight was one of the coolest things from Marvel. I don't care if people didn't like it. If you guys didn't like it, I think of it as its own little story. And I would be okay if Marvel just said, universes are done and we're just traveling to different universes now and seeing their heroes. I wouldn't mind that. We're not here to talk about Marvel because it's triggering for me.
Talking about Marvel will yeah.
I'm actually doing pretty good right now, so it's fine. It's fine. We're actually having fun. I've been looking forward to the Dreamwalker. I'm just putting down notes so I can the Dreamwalker idea.
I was thinking it could be called the Dreamer's Touch.
Ooh. Okay, so we have Dreamer's Touch, She Who Laughs. Personally, I love the She Who Laughs one a lot.
Yeah, I think it could be a fun one.
We could put this Dreamwalker in the story.
We could. Maybe it's kind of. Yeah, maybe.
He ends up being like a mentor for her, but every time like she goes to bed, she just sees him gets up, like, what are you doing? And it's like he's doing stuff. Either his eyes are closed or he's a totally different person. And she's like, oh, ooh. She just gets a bunch of outcasts that are all kind of ostracized. Because I think the uptight community would be of no emotions, no infringements. Think of like Lord Farquaad, what he wanted to do, but like he's not some just tiny man. People just get outcast. They're pure.
I've got two more ideas.
Okay.
And we can go back to whichever one we want to.
Okay.
This one, I was explaining it to you, actually, before.
I'm just kidding.
No, but essentially, what this story would be is if I wrote it as a book, it would be a series.
Okay.
And essentially, the gods of this world are experimenting and trying to make things better and different and trying to see what would work and what wouldn't. And every time they mess something up or they cause some horrific accident, they just hard reset the world, almost like in a video game where you go back to your last save, and it wipes everybody's minds. But the main character of this story would notice things. They would notice little things, like maybe the bees are missing. Like in Doctor Who, there's a segment where they realize something because the bees are missing.
They're bees.
Or maybe they had a sibling and now that sibling doesn't exist and nobody remembers them. Kind of like in Five Kingdoms. Or it's Brandon Mull series.
Oh.
Very good series. Or maybe the days are only 11 hours long instead of 12, or maybe it's 11-hour segments instead of 24.
He wakes up, it's winter
instead
time.
of 12.
But yesterday was spring.
Maybe the seasons are way off. Anyway, he notices these things and he's like, hold on, the gods reset again. And he'll go through, and I guess the main plot of this would be he's going to go talk to the gods and be like, hey, reset it back like, 100 resets ago, back when it was perfect, and then just stop, kind of thing.
Dude's going to the gods because they got rid of his family on accident. His
Maybe.
wife and kids.
Maybe, or maybe a brother.
Ooh, brother.
A little brother or a little sister.
Just a loved one of any sort.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I
has
thought...
a long Japanese name, like the animes. It's like the gods aren't very good at autosaving their work or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's one idea, and I had that idea after reading The Way of Kings, or I guess I was reading Rhythm of War. I had this idea after finishing Rhythm of War, and I was like, what if all the gods in the Cosmere just got together and they just reset everything?
It's whoa, shush.
I just that was just what was going through my mind, and then I was like, I'm gonna write a book series about that, and so I wrote it down.
Okay, Dad, it's getting a little too close for comfort because I'm like terrified that's the stuff that's gonna happen. For anyone that doesn't know much about the Cosmere or who is just starting, welcome. It's a bumpy ride. Read Elantris.
It's a beautiful ride. Oh, Elantris is so
read
good.
Warbreaker. Read all of them.
Warning about Warbreaker.
Hurts your brain.
Hurts your brain, and there are some scenes that are a little bit spicy without being spicy. That's all I'll say.
Oh!
And there's Willem's laugh.
And it's funny because... Never mind. I'll tell you after. It's just ironic that a BYU professor wrote that one. That's all I'll say. And it just makes me laugh. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This last idea is probably my favorite just because of how wacky it could be. How weird I could make the characters and how weird I could make the world. Almost like an alien world. Basically, the book, the setting is a planet where it is constantly raining. In middle school, I read a book with my class where, they're on, was it Mercury or Venus, where it was just constantly raining. And now we know it's acid rain, but
acid rain.
Back then, back when this book was written, they didn't know it was acid rain. The people on the planet, the people living there had to, they were in school and it was constantly raining, and there was a special day where it would stop raining. And I got a little bit of inspiration from that, and I was like, what if the main character lives in this little shelter with a bunch of people, and outside it is constantly raining. You only ever go outside if you're going to go forage for food, and you have to be very, very careful, and you have to stay within sight of the shelter and that kind of thing, because we don't know what's out there because nobody's ever gone out to explore. And one day he's looking out the window, imagining what life would be like without the rain. And he's looking out the window and he sees a figure walking towards the shelter. And at first, he's like, that creature has a very massive head. Very large, strange looking head. And then as it gets closer, you realize the head is a hat. Just a very, very massive pointed hat. Like 6 feet, a 6 foot radius.
Kind of like I'm imagining the hats you kind of see in movies when they depict like Korea or China where they're in rice fields and they have those pointed hats.
Kind of more like a more smooth sombrero, where it's a very high point and then it comes and it dips and goes out. Anyway, you will realize, it's a woman wearing this very large, strange hat that keeps her dry. And those two people will go on an adventure. One thing I have to have with this hat is she has to be able to take off the hat and twist it, kind of twisting it like an umbrella, and it turns into a walking stick that she can use. That's probably my favorite idea out of all of these, just because of how strange it could be. We could have it would be almost like a brownish purple.
Okay, I was honestly imagining purple, and I imagine, Curious George,
Yeah,
the man in the yellow hat. I imagine the title of this movie would be the woman with the giant purple hat.
It could be.
So these are 4 good ideas.
And I have a dozen other ideas. These are just the 4 that I kind of wanted to talk about because they were the most. I don't know. They're the most different that aren't something I'm already working on actively.
Cards aren't good. Autosaving. I call it Gaggus. Cards aren't good at autosaving. Well, I think you know what my vote is of which one to talk about because I very much relate to that one. But I obviously want to hit these off later on.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing is we have a podcast.
We do
this whenever.
Well, really?
No, not really.
Oh,
because we're both busy and adults.
Yes, that's true.
If we got more support, we could maybe do 2 times a week. But
Made this our full-time job. I wouldn't complain.
I would not complain, but that's
we're not even close.
Not even close. So,
that being said, thank you all for your support. We're not trying to be ungrateful. We're just
it's called teasing.
Yes.
And also, again, I can't believe we're almost about to hit a year. So, but I think
that's crazy.
She Who Laughs is the one that and that's not the official title, but that's just what that's what I'm going to put on my little notes at the top. And I'm not very good at character names. I know we named the teddy bears, but that was because
that's because they're teddy bears, and that's a little bit different.
Well, and their names were by the end of it, their names were actually needed.
Yes.
So this one, I think we can lay off for now. If you were to base this world or where she lives in, and I like it being a girl. Are we thinking young adult? Like, is she well into adulthood?
I'm thinking young adult. Between mine and your age.
Okay.
So mid 20s.
25, just for craps and giggles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's weird. My wife is turning 25 in a couple weeks.
I'm turning 29 in 4. Gross.
Yeah.
So.
Week and a half, actually.
Oh.
Anyway. I'm gonna do something that I don't normally do, and I'm gonna ask ChatGPT for a name for this character.
Oh.
One of the names that it gave me is Allegra, like the medicine, which is the Italian word for joyful or lively. Which I really like the name Jovi, for jovial.
Aww. How do you spell that?
Jovie.
I really feel like, ChatGPT, man.
I know. I don't use it very often.
I've never used it.
I've gotten a few ideas, for D&D stuff from
I think it's good. I think it's good for what we want with just kind of give us something.
Yeah.
Again, you even suggested one-word story sentences, and then we grow from it. Because sometimes, again, I'm the kind of guy that I'm not good with original ideas. So I just need inspiration. And I think this story would be a lot of fun. So we just want it not post-apocalyptic, but
well, kind of dystopian post-apocalyptic kind of thing.
We want to go, is it completely broken like Fallout, or
imagine, like, did you ever read or watch Maze Runner? No? Okay.
Like Hunger Games?
Kind of like Hunger Games. Maze Runner, the main world, they have the big city, their big main city, and then outside of that is a lot of desolate wasteland, and you've got your classic Mad Max style people living in their colonies or whatever, trying to avoid the zombies and that kind of thing. And I'm imagining something kind of like that, where there's the big main city, where the higher ups live, where most people live, and it would be a big walled city that has very strict laws that basically turn you in almost like 1984 style, where very strict laws. If you don't adhere to the laws, you're either executed or you're outlawed. You're banished. I'm imagining something like that, and then outside of this big, massive walled city, there's no war in Ba Sing Se. I'm imagining like desolate wasteland, almost like the second series of Mistborn.
Okay.
Right, where you've got Ellendale, the capital city, and outside of that you've got the Roughs, where Wax used to work. And I'm imagining kind of something like that, where the Roughs, this outside area would be kind of Midwest, cowboys kind of thing. You've got your shelters where hundreds of people live at any given point in time, and it's a very it's all scraps put together, scrap metal from a bygone era. Maybe we see some of these shelters are built with a big factory as a base, or maybe like a hangar from an airplane as a base, and then they've built off of it using car parts, using metal siding, and they just cobble it all together. That's kind of what I'm imagining. And then, if you live outside of the big main city, there's a whole different series of governments that are more almost like tribal. You don't mess with each other's tribes, with each other's societies, and if you don't mess with me, I won't mess with you, kind of thing. But we do what we want. We're gonna live the way we want, how we want to. And we're not gonna follow the laws of the city. That's kind of what I'm imagining.
So, America.
Yeah, I think so.
6 areas.
What do you mean by areas?
I don't know, like some big regions.
I don't know. We could do the big city as the main region, and maybe that's set around some or near some big like fountain of water that feeds the city. And that's why it's built there. And then around it there could be a handful of different. There could be one region that's desolate wasteland. There could be maybe another one that's the remains of a forest, you know, where you just see the black stumps of the trees. People living in there. Maybe one of them's mountains. I don't know. I want the world to feel dry and kind of dead.
So, I'm thinking resources became kind of sparse. People started getting really strict. And in order to kind of cut off the lower class, people started to implant chips or things that made them start losing emotion.
Or maybe they just outlawed it outright, and they didn't enhance people. They just, this is the law. If you don't follow it, you're dead.
It could be that.
And it's more follow the law out of fear, kind of thing.
Well, I think the upper
like
class,
1989,
84.
1984.
You're
I
good.
said 1984 in my head.
And 89 came out.
89 came
I've
out.
done it before. I think the reason why I would say the upper class have got it cleared out of their head, because that way they can never mess up. They are absolutely perfect. There's no empathy, but it backfired on them. So maybe not everyone is implanted, but like the top of the top, the ruling class, have subjugated themselves.
Maybe Jovi had the chip and it malfunctioned, and that's why she constantly laughs.
Could be that. Or chip malfunctioned, or she has that illness, and and the thing is, I imagine it being dry, but I also imagine the world is just quiet because there's no emotion. This upper class, very small but powerful. They've enhanced themselves, and imagine if all of them were spiked. The Steel Inquisitors, except the Steel Inquisitors had no emotion, but they were just that strong. They don't have spikes in their eyes. But think of these like powerful enforcers, like they have a few of them, and they're just these big emotionless golems almost. And if you make any noise, any joy, anything, even sobbing, will get you, because no compassion is allowed. We want to make sure that our resources are perfectly even. No back talking, no arguing. Everything gets what they get. They don't throw a fit. If you're sick, yeah. If you can afford it, you can get help. If you can't, yeah. There's no empathy in this world. At least not in this awesome quote unquote beautiful city. Like, imagine it looks amazing. Like, you flew over it and you're like, oh, I wonder what that's like. And it looks like Vegas. And then you fly in, it's just quiet. And everyone's just sitting down, staring at each other all day.
We could call the city Magnificence.
Magnificence. Yeah. So the question is, though, what would these people do for fun? Like, how would these people pass the time? Would they just be learning, reading, calculating?
I'm imagining they spend their time working. Again, very 1984. You work. And when you're done working, you go home and you eat and you go to bed and then you go back to work the next day.
So it's kind of like that short about the organs.
Yes.
You know how they all like go to work? They're all very square and quiet. And it's exactly what we want to avoid when we go to corporate. It's like what's the SpongeBob meme. Like, that guy, we can't let him do anything. We got to leave him alone. He's enjoying life. And it shows this guy for the next like 3 frames at work, at home, and in traffic. And he just has the same face, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's turning into Sisyphus, you know, constantly pushing up that boulder, but doing nothing, not enjoying it, nothing. They're just obediently pushing up the boulder.
Mm.
You know about Sisyphus, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Of course I know about
Some
Sisyphus.
people don't.
It's Greek mythology. Yes, of course I know.
I wanted to get a tattoo of that for the longest time. And my dad was like, that's pretty depressing. Don't get it.
That is really depressing.
And I'm like,
that is very depressing.
I guess. We could call the city Sisyphus. Or that's the type of people, Sisypheans. They're like the obedient ones. No emotion.
Or maybe they all work for this big company called Sisyphus.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
We could have the AI that, if there is an AI, or the head honcho, he has called himself Sisyphus. And it would be funny because people think he's going to be sitting in a chair. No, he is like himself working. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's like he's like the most hardworking out of everybody. He looks like a raggedy skeleton, but it's just like a machine is keeping him alive. He's old. He's more machine than man at this point.
Darth Vader.
Wow, yeah. I've never thought about that analogy, but that's very sad about Darth Vader. And we always bring it up.
Of course. We love Star Wars.
We love Darth Vader. He's a great villain. I like the company being Sisyphus. That's a fun word to say. This spell. Sisyphus. Facetious. Okay. So I think we've come up with a good villain corporation. I imagine
maybe not villain. I'm imagining it's less of a villain and more
an entity.
You're trying to. I kind of want this story to be she's just trying to survive and establish a place outside of the city. Like we start in the city. We don't need to have much there. I'm imagining she's trying. She gets kicked out for laughing, and maybe this is her final infraction. She's laughing at some bar. Maybe they have bars, and that's one way people pass the time is just drinking, so they forget. And she's drinking, and she bursts out laughing, and the bartender kind of freaks out a little bit and is like, "That's your final infraction." And then robots come in and, Jovi, this is your final infraction. You are banished.
The police officers from Treasure Planet.
Yeah, kind of.
This is your final infraction. Take care now, as they push her off. As they push her out of the city. Take care now, and then just leave, turn around.
Emotion is not allowed here in Magnificence. And then she'd get kicked out, and then I'm imagining, we spend a good 5-10 minutes of her out in this barren wasteland where all she can see out in front of her is sand dunes and like super, super distant mountain range. And she's wandering and trying to survive, and maybe she'll find. I'm imagining again very dystopian post-apocalyptic world. It becomes nighttime where she gets frigid cold. She can see her breath as the sun's still up, starting to go down. She can already see her breath. She's cold, and maybe she finds the remains of of like a bus or something, and she makes camp in the bus, and then she goes out and explores, and as the sun starts to go down, she makes her way back to the bus. I don't know, and then I'm imagining a group of people come to the bus, and they're like, and as she comes back, as the day is ending, people are harvesting this bus for parts. She gets mad at them, whatever, and they're like, you're in exile. All right, how about you come join us? And obviously, again, I don't want to I don't want to take away from the whole she's laughing the whole time part. Like she will be laughing for most of this time, and maybe while she's getting mad at them, she's kind of chuckling to herself.
Yeah, just stop taking my stuff, and like just starts laughing uncontrollably, and it's terrifying because people are like, laughter's weird.
Well, I'm imagining it's only outlawed in the city, and people outside don't laugh very often, but they do feel emotion, and they do laugh if something is genuinely funny. But she is weird because she can't stop laughing.
Yeah, she's never heard other people laugh, and she's like, do you have my So she grew up in this place. Maybe she always like wore something around her mouth.
Maybe a mouth guard.
A mouth guard, so
like
she
a
could
big
bite
mouth
down
guard.
on it, and she's like, and then she made it look like she was coughing. And they're like, what the fluff is going on? Okay, I kind of want to throw this at you.
Okay.
An ending scene. And we kind of build up to it. The ending scene, I imagine either Sisyphus, the head honcho, the head worker, the guy who's president maybe, President Sisyphus of this area. He's sitting there working, and either him or we see a few of the workers in the background stop working, and they look up and they just kind of smile. Like the end is like showing that people can laugh, smile, and have fun. Like we just see like a little seed be planted that the world's going to go back to normal, and maybe compassion and empathy can come back. Something like that.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be Sisyphus. It could be a worker, a random person, just like we see them like with a wrench or even typing on a computer, and they just look up and they just kind of smile, and then that's the end of the movie. Something like that. Because the goal, I think, would be trying for this girl who laughs to try to encourage people to laugh. So maybe even people on the outside, they don't have the strict laws, but people don't laugh. Because why would they? It's kind of depressing.
Maybe the world is just so far gone that it's just depressing to laugh.
Yeah.
And then maybe it takes some time, and maybe her laugh is contagious. And so she maybe one time she's at like this big bonfire with her clan, her new clan, and you know they're all sitting there quiet eating, and then she starts laughing, and as she's laughing, other people are kind of like, what's going on? They're just finding it funny that she's laughing.
Someone drops their bowl on the floor and they all stare at each other. And she's like, oh no, we wasted something. And they're like, oh, it's okay. It happens. And then she like starts laughing. And then everyone else is like, what's going on? And they all start laughing.
I'm imagining like only a couple people start laughing.
Just a couple.
And then a couple more, and then a couple more, and people are like, what is going on?
Maybe it really is hard for people to give emotion. Maybe it's bled everywhere. It's not as bad, and people can like cry, but they still have this this culture or habit that's like joyous. Like they'll say each other a joke. Oh, joyous joy, like joy, joy, joy.
What if her name is Joyce? Oh, I kind of like that better than Jovi.
Okay. But you know what I mean? Like, people are like, they explain how they're feeling. So you're telling a story, and then I told them melancholy that I did not like that. Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And like, just the way they talk, like, they'll accent it at first, or they'll put like the words. That was highly entertaining, or that was lowly disappointing. So they don't like say, like, they don't laugh. They still don't really show emotion. They smile a little more in the outskirts, but it's still been ingrained in them. Maybe because a few wars broke out.
Sorry, I keep dropping my pen. Trying to spin it in my fingers, and it's, the way I'm spinning it. The way I'm spinning it keeps pushing the ink farther and farther away from the tip, and so I can't write with it. So I tried to start spinning it with the other end, but the clip is too fat, and so I keep dropping it.
It's fat.
Yes.
So I think a world very bland, boring. Even on the capital cities, like the closer you get to capitals, the worse it is. The farther out you get, the more lenient it is, but everyone really has forgotten how to laugh.
I like it. You know how in Steelheart, you've got the big cities, where the epics rule.
Yeah.
And then outside of the big cities, there's nobody.
Yeah.
Imagining it's kind of like that, where living in the outskirts is very, very uncommon.
Yep. And living in these cities without emotion is honestly preferred. Like, it's like, I'd rather take my chances and not laugh.
I'd rather have a certain meal. I would rather know I'm going to be fed than have to scavenge and not feel and be able to feel emotion.
People are giving up their freedoms to live there. And you can have rings in the cities. Top people are the ones who have solely given up their agency, their free will, if you can, or at least their empathy full on, and they're like robots and they get everything done. Like, and that's the sad thing is they're treated the best. They all have these beautiful homes, but we could follow one of these citizens and they lay down and there's just nothing. They don't enjoy anything. They turn a TV on and they stare at it for hours, but they don't.
Maybe they don't even dream.
Yeah. There's nothing. They've all agreed to have an implant, and it does that. So maybe Joyce... I want to disagree with you about the name, because I hear Joyce, and all I think about is Joy from Inside Out. I like Jovi. I don't think I've ever heard of Jovi before.
Bon Jovi?
Well, yeah,
no, I get you.
But I'm down for either one.
Yeah,
but Jovi is so unique.
Jovi does work, I think. I don't know. I just, the name Joyce fits her, I guess, her condition where she can't stop laughing. I feel like that fits very well. But we'll stick with Jovi.
Okay. What about in this world, kind of like the Hunger Games, when you're 18, you get the chance to decide where you want to be. Her parents have already moved up. And she wants to be with her family again. So, you have kids, but then when they're 18, they have to go out to ring number one. They have to move out. Because, again, no empathy. And her parents full on are like, good luck out there. We will miss you. And they, give her, the little
maybe
pat.
it's like six rings, 6 tiers of quote-unquote loyalty.
Uh-huh.
Where there's the inner ring, and then every ring out from that gets progressively more and more difficult to control your emotions and keep them under check. And so the people in the very outskirts, they have to spend a lot of time mastering that. And if you make too many infractions, you go down a layer, or if you go so long without an infraction, you can move up. And I'm imagining there is a lot of empty space still within the city.
Oh yeah.
So that you could move up or down, but also just there's not a lot of people. I don't know.
So 6, there are emotions, but
there are, you do feel emotions, and when you're alone, you'll feel them, and like you'll express them when you're alone. But in tier number 1, like you just don't have emotions.
maybe in tier 6, you have the you can afford to live at home and not laugh, but like enjoy people's company. Like we see people at a bar and they're like, oh, they're cheering, and they're like enjoying themselves. But then you see them like talking like louder in the bar, and you see like a sound thing on the wall of the bar, and it gets to the red, and it goes off, and everyone like, oh, and they like get quiet again because they see the officers, like these bulky figures that control emotions appear, like drop from the sky, and they look around, and everyone's all quiet again, all sad and quiet, and then they shoot back up. So you can laugh. I mean, you can have fun, but like keep it to yourself. Okay, cool. Be reverent. It's a library. Actually, imagine more like 6 is like a conference building. 3 and 4 would be getting close to like library level, and then number 1 is like a mausoleum,
like a funeral held in a library. Like you got to be extra quiet. It is this funeral.
Like imagine like I want someone to agree to get the chip, and so what level do you think the chip would be? And I know,
let's say like level 3.
Okay. And I know you guys are probably listening going, guys, get to the story. It's like, no. This one,
we're world building.
This one has
this is an important part of writing a story. Like you have to establish the world.
We did that really quick with the teddy bear story because we just were like, it's our world, but then there's these little teddy bears that are magic. The end. This one, it's a lot more to work with. Mm-hmm. So, sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
I don't remember. Oh, I think level 3 is when you have the opportunity to get the chip. And everybody in tier 1 has the chip. Maybe except the main guy. He's like, he just was born with an intense apathy towards everything. Like he just can't feel emotion, period. So he didn't need the chip. He worked his way all the way up there on his own.
Maybe the infraction that Jovi does is she laughs in front of Sisyphus. And it is so... My hallway is very loud.
It is very loud.
It is very loud. Nothing we can change about that. Man, my hands are sweaty. I think that would be a cool infraction. They're like meeting Sisyphus. He's about to have a meeting. Or like a big like conference, and he's talking to the, citizens of Ring 6. And he just... Actually, he'd be even more monotone. Citizens of Ring 6. I am ever so excited to be here with all of you today. And everyone like...
Nobody's clapping.
Oh.
I feel like nobody claps.
And I'm glad you all are excited to see me today. You see one of the robots look around.
Maybe he's giving like a little speech, and then Jovi starts laughing
At one of his jokes.
And everybody's looking at her, and she's like, and she's laughing, but she's like, I can't stop laughing,
She's like running,
and, like,
and she just can't stop. She's like, oh, and it's even worse because now all eyes are on you, and you just get more nervous, and you just keep laughing, and then your face gets red, and then you can't breathe, and everyone really thinks you're insane, and
that sounded very personal.
Oh, sorry. This might be traumatizing for me. Oh. Sorry, that like hit a nerve. Yeah, I really think this is going to have an emotional connection to me. I I really want one funny scene if there's anything. Just imagine they're at the meeting or at this conference and Lord Sisyphus is talking, and it could be a different one, but it's all quiet and a cricket starts going off, and you see this giant cannon appear above the cricket, and the cricket just and you see like outside of the city, or even like in Ring 1, they're like, it's even so quiet that no sound above like, and I don't know decibels very well, but like
maybe nothing above like footsteps,
and you see a cricket like leap from like, I don't know, just flies and land, or even a bird. It could be a bird lands and it's like doo, 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 giant cannon. And the bird like craps a little bit because it's so scared, and then you see a back away from the city, and it's just a little smoke cloud appears, and there's just nothing left of the bird. Like, that's just how serious this is. That might be too comical for what we're going for, but that's just how I imagine how serious Ring 1 is. I don't want to call them districts. I want to say rings. Ring 1, Ring 2. We could look up words of Greek that mean like silence, and then we kind of do layers leading up to, and it's ironic because maybe it could be a reverse, like absolute joy in Latin is Ring 1, like happiness is Ring 1, and it's just pure like the opposite, and the place that has more emotion is supposed to be the most miserable. That'd be funny. So I think we've set up a decent world.
At least the city.
Yeah. The outside world, I'm just thinking Fallout, Wastelands.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I don't want her to be out there.
I want it to be almost like half the movie.
Yeah.
Half and half.
Maybe she hears people laughing. Like she's in like a sandstorm and she like hears laughing, which she was like the only person she knew who laughed. So like her whole life, we always see her like biting at a bit or something that showed that her parents had to learn to hide it.
Maybe before that big meeting where she ends up laughing, maybe she trips and her bit falls out of her mouth, and somebody's walking by and kicks it and it goes down like a storm drain. So she doesn't have the bit, and that's why she ended up laughing.
Or even like she's like, oh no, okay. She sees it goes down, and they're like, citizen, please get in line for the meeting. And she's like, okay, it's just a regular meeting. I've done this before. I don't need that. I'm fine. And then they said, please gather your attention for our President Sisyphus. And you just see Jovi go, oh no. And we see that he keeps making these lame jokes. No one's laughing, but it's hitting her. She's getting more nervous. We see robots keep looking at her. And then finally she cracks. And that's what kicks her out. But I imagine she runs. And what would be more sad is we see her parents, because like they're assigned, and I imagine they're in a big circle, and it's by rings. So they all have the chance to go visit Ring 1, and they're all visiting.
Maybe it's like a field trip almost, and they're in a bus that is just.
Oh,
it's just like a soundproof bus.
We hear like some people talking, but the decibel thing, like I just imagine these meters are everywhere, and we see like each district we get in, its strictness gets worse and worse, and when they get to like, and I imagine everyone's like whispering, and then they get across to 1, and there's like technology that, have you ever walked into a silent room, a soundproof room?
Yeah.
those things are terrifying. Like, you hear everything, but it also muffles, and you can't hear nothing. It's strange. So imagine that. Imagine that scene. Like they're like everyone's talking, like whispering, the little whispers are going off, and then all of a sudden just, and they're driving, and even like the machines are just humming, like it's just quiet.
Like like an electric vehicle.
And you see Jovi like, and like, no, maybe she's not in District 1. I mean, Ring 1.
Maybe she's out like in 3.
Visiting parents.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's
maybe she lives in 3 and her parents are in 4. And her parents have the chip.
Or it's, like I said, that big day of her turning 18. And after your last child turns 18, you have a choice to become 3. So her parents worked really hard they worked very hard in 5 and 4. And we can have a flashback, or at least show her as a little girl laughing. And we see like doctors and all these people are getting like very nervous in number 6. Because that's the safest, quote unquote, safest place for her. And we see them like covering her mouth and like, doctor, we can't do anything about this. She just laughs. Like, she has a condition.
Maybe the doctor is the one that gives her the bit.
Yeah, like, I think the best thing we need to do is either like what do you suggest? A gag? Like, no, that's like, and he pulls out like, and hands her like a pacifier. Here, like, and it slowly evolved into like a mouth guard. I really imagine like a mouth guard, because you can hide a mouth guard pretty well. So she always looks like she's like gritting her poor teeth. She's like, oh, and just gritting. I'll tell you guys, I gritted my teeth really bad, and I almost had to need a mouth guard while I slept. So this movie's bringing out some things. So anyway, point being, like, her parents are finally going to move on to 3, and she's going to go and become her own adult in 6, and her family will have land and all this stuff, because you don't really like move on. Point being, I imagine it's this big important meeting for her parents, and they just got chipped, and you see like the light. Everyone again thinks it's like some joyous thing, but as they get the chip, you see the light kind of leave then their faces get like a little paler. But I do want that when Joy starts laughing, you see her mom and dad just like, and just have this concern for a split second, and it looks like her mom's about to yell, and then the chip like activates, and she like run, and just says it very quietly, and just books off, and she's laughing the whole time. I imagine a chaotic orchestra, and she can't hide, and you see the robots are running, she's running through corners, just like crashing into people, and I imagine it would be hysterical. It's gonna make a lot of people uncomfortable if you're watching this scene. I'm
imagining, like, you know how in movies they have very subtle background music you can't actually hear, but it's there, and it just provides a subconscious almost ambiance to the scene. I'm imagining no sound, like in this entire place, 0 sound. But when she's every time she laughs, there's something there.
It's building. And then when she's full on laughing, the orchestra is just. And imagine when the mom or dad looks at her, and before they yell it, they're like, they were gonna, like, it's your child. And they know that this is serious. They made a big infringement. That's the Lord Sisyphus, the President Sisyphus, who for some reason, hates all things that, like, super loud.
Maybe he just outlawed it because he doesn't like noise.
And again, I also think the lack of empathy helps regulate how much you need. Because if you live at the top, but you don't have a lot of emotions, you don't need that much supplies. So it'd be ironic that these people are like, we live in the greatest place ever, but their homes are like smaller than our apartments. It's like, how ironic. But I imagine just mom yelling, about to yell, and it like and it like cuts her off. And she's looking at the ground, run, and just says it monotone. Can't, even as a mom, still fights it somehow, and you just see Jovi just book it, laughing, and everyone's just shocked and
laughing,
spreads
and
away.
Tears are flying off her face.
And yeah, she's running through all that she can do. She's running through all the districts, and I think. So are they going to kill her, or are they just going to kick her out?
I think just kick her out.
But it's still like that. You just want to run, because maybe if she run and got away, she could be quiet. But everyone's seen her face. There's no.
I'm imagining she runs, and in order to get between, there's little checkpoints between each ring, and she just, she vaults over the little gate thing for the first few, and then, like imagining traffic checkpoints, where there's just the arm blocking it, something like that, and she's just, vaults over them. She's running. Maybe she's made it to ring number 3, maybe 2, and she turns the corner and slams straight into one of the security bots. And she falls to the ground, and it grabs her by the front of the shirt, and says, "This was your final infraction. You have been exiled from magnificence." And we watch as she's stopped laughing. And
or
now,
they've even just put something,
ooh,
like,
yeah.
you know what they put over Loki? They just,
Yeah.
and it covers her mouth. She's like, and it's just, it's terrible. I've never thought of having like a main character who just uncontrollably laughs. That's good.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. But yeah, I'm imagining they grab her and they haul her out, and they're standing at the gate, like the big outside walled gate, and we watch with anticipation as the wall, or as the door slides open, revealing sunlight, and then it's just barren wasteland, and she's thrown out, and I'm imagining maybe she still has the gag thing. Maybe it's like a device that she can't take off, and then in order to get it off, she's trekking in that first night. When she finds the bus, she finds tools and she's able to take it off.
I just had a thought to kind of help us. What if we did take it? What if we made a central point? It doesn't have to be America, but help imagine America. Mm-hmm. Maybe like, and it'd be funny if it was like Kansas or Arkansas. Just think of like literally the Midwest, and that's where this capital is. And imagine like a few states outside of that, and imagine it's still a ring. That's ring 1, ring 2, ring 3, and like the outskirts of New York, Maine, California, all those things are 6. So now it's much bigger. So instead of it being like main city hubs, we have just these big rings, and each ring has like big cities that are pretty big. But I imagine ring 6 being the outskirts and all of the.
So maybe it could be like Wyoming.
Maybe one of the ones by the Great Lakes, because that would be landlocked. I mean, it would because the capital's most likely going to be landlocked. But if it's by, Michigan and those ones, they have the Great Lakes there. They can be using that to.
Yes, that's true. Maybe Illinois. Yeah. Chicago.
Yeah, I imagine that could be district.
Chicago could be the center.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that'd be ironic.
Yeah.
And for anyone in Chicago, you're right. I've never been, so I can't judge. But what I've heard, it's rough sometimes. So, but it's on my bucket list to visit. And feel free to yell at us. So I think they're just a big doing it that way, because imagine like the rings are kind of going out and there are capitals of each ring, and then there's like maybe like cities. So like, and most likely by that point, Utah, this area would be number 4 or 5. You know, for looking at the ring that way.
Yeah.
Something like that. I just imagine either, and I just want to imagine her parents started off at least in 4, and they were always scared of going out to 6, because Sixers are the emotions, and because they have all 6 emotions.
Maybe we do 5.
Oh.
And then, that actually makes no sense. Never mind. Never mind. You said 6 emotions, and I was like, the 5 senses?
No. I did think of that for a second.
Not even close. Not the same thing.
The people in the middle just have nothing. They're mute.
They can't see. They can't hear.
They're all Helen Kellers. But somehow they're like awesome.
Uh-huh.
You see one try to punch one of them, and it catches their hand. And they look over. Don't make any noises. They're just
maybe like Helen Keller meets Stephen Hawking.
Oh. Helen Keller, Stephen Hawking meets Daredevil.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
That is kind of dumb. No.
I mean, if they were like monster zombies like that, that'd be a different story. Like, oh, they're deaf, blind, and mute. We can take care of them easy. No, wait, and they try shooting it, and it dodges perfectly.
Or catches the bullet.
Yeah, and you're like, what? Eats it.
I wasn't going to say it, but I thought it too.
I don't think it's good for it. It spits it back out at the speed of a bullet. Whoa! Dang! So, whether we do it rings, districts, or whatever, parents were about to move up.
Maybe we have the city maybe it's just the city is the rings, and then it's regions outside.
Okay.
And each region has a different thing.
Okay. Either way, I think, and we can fill in the blanks with all that, because I think we need to get to, it's been like an hour 20.
This is good.
This is good. But that's kind of the worst part, is we've spent most of it world building. So I'm like, uh-oh.
No, that's great.
Oh.
We've established, we world built, and we established like the first half hour, first 45 minutes of the movie. Maybe even an hour of movie. Depending on how long we want to spend with Jovi inside the city.
Yeah, I think the end of the first act, I like doing an act. That's how I like to picture things.
3 acts.
I think the first act, the end of it, would be whether I just imagine she's laughing. Either she's in a car, either she's getting shoved out, or either way, by the end of it, she's alone in a dark wasteland laughing. And they rip off the muzzle and they let her out, and she's just laughing, and then she falls on her knees and it turns into uncontrollable sobbing. Like, for the first time, she's not laughing. She's just
so sad.
Sobbing.
That is so sad.
I know.
I like it.
And just that uncontrollable, actually, yeah, just sobbing. And then we see someone.
Maybe the end of Act 1 would be she's running through the streets.
Yeah.
And then we can have, a 10-minute sequence where she's running through the streets and people are pointing at her, and maybe someone pulls her aside and is like, how can you just stop laughing? And they're getting loud, and so the bot comes after them as well, and
it's just
them.
Grabbing people.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's just grabbing, just all these robots are just coming down, and it's just sad because, and it's not, and for everyone thinking like, it could be citizens of number 1, and they could be the robots, quote unquote, because again, they just don't have emotions, they don't care.
Yeah.
And so they're just chasing her.
I kind of like the idea of the robots.
Robots?
Though.
Okay.
I do like the idea of the robots.
It would be creepy, though, is when she's running through more like silent districts. Some people are just not even saying anything; they're just pointing.
Oh, yeah.
They're just pointing at her.
Maybe she's running through District 2, and they're just pointing. District 3, they're pointing and looking around. 4, they're pointing, they're looking around, and some of them are speaking monotone
5
to each other.
Like trying to shush her.
5, be quiet, stop. They're not pointing anymore. They're like hand out, trying to get her to stop, to slow down, to stop laughing. And 6, finally, maybe she makes it all the way to 6, where she can hide. And she's running, and at this point, people are
maybe a friend of hers.
Maybe people are running after her, trying to get her to stop. You can stop. You can be done.
Because again, it's more lenient in 6, but laughing is what brings it. But she's probably exhausted at this point. She's like, and just like you see the levels going down. Maybe each person has a little monitor to show how loud you are.
No. I think on like every single street corner in every building, there's like 12. They're just everywhere.
Because like how this thing goes. I don't know if you can see that.
No,
but as we talk,
yeah,
that's what I've been imagining every time. So if we look here and I go, wah! It like goes up to red. I imagine that's kind of.
Yeah, I used to mess around with that. Growing up, I had an MP3 player, and if you pressed the home button, the side, it was one of the buttons. You would press it, and it would cycle through, telling you the name of the song. It would tell you the size of the sound file itself, and then it would tell you, or then it would show you how loud the song is as it's going. And I've been imagining like each of these sensors isn't just like a single sound bar going up. It's like 8 or 9 that they go up and kind of fluctuate as because as you talk, different the different tones in your voice are going to fluctuate.
Yeah.
And so I'm imagining it's kind of like that. And the laughing, when you laugh, all of them go up.
Oh, I know. And
I don't know. I'm kind of imagining that, and they're little boxes, maybe the size of my notebook, my open notebook, and they monitor.
And they're all over,
everywhere.
And they don't even do they don't do alarms. That's what's scary. Is if it gets too loud, you just see one of these robots just land. You don't know how. You look up, and you just see that they're always just floating. Or something like that. Or maybe the robots are under each of those little things, and when it gets too loud, they automatically...
Kind of like a charging station?
Yes,
I like it.
Imagine, they're mean Baymaxes. They come out of the ground. Shut your mouth. I would like you to stop talking, please. Picks them up, gets bigger, all threatening. You are being too loud. So
it's like the Norm bots in the Phineas and Ferb movie Across the Second Dimension.
Hi, you are being too loud.
Present your papers.
Present your papers, please.
Show me your papers or be destroyed.
Exactly.
Yes, I like it.
The rest of the movie's going to take place. Maybe she doesn't even get out of the city. Maybe District 6. But she's never been to District 6. Her parents lived in 4. And so she was visited. Maybe the entourage that came and was presenting people moving up, they were citizens from 1. They were representatives for 1 and 2. They want each ring to be there. But by the end of this movie, she's all the way back in 6. Someone's pulled her aside. Maybe it's someone her family knew, maybe a distant relative or something. Someone who had too many infringements as well. But I really feel like laughing I feel like we can get away with laughing being, like, punishable. Like, a severe punishment, like prison. You know.
Or exile.
Exile.
I don't know. The original idea was she was outlawed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because she was laughing and that's against the law, she is outlawed. She's not allowed in the city.
I feel like laughing is totally against the law. Mm-hmm. Exact. Like, totally. Like, people can, or at least, like, and of course, like, like, that's not going to get you in trouble. But what she does
might get you talking to or something.
Yeah. Like a good, like, sturdy, like, that was funny. That's, like, going to get, like, a quick head turn. But for the most part, it's, or even when they laugh, it's like, it's like it has to stay under that decibel.
Yeah.
But what she does, this loud laughter, like, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That is completely outlawed. Like, joyous laughter, no. Not allowed.
Yeah.
I really like it, because I can relate to this. Mm-hmm. Like I've said, sometimes you get dirty looks when you just start, like, laughing. So I do think ending up in a bar completely exhausted, or somewhere with family, and the last scene is her kind of laughing, she's exhausted, and her family knows, and her uncle, whoever this is, has given her like, I don't want to call it a pacifier, her mouth guard. They have more for her, and she puts it in her mouth, and she's laughing, still, like, kind of laughing to herself, because that was pretty traumatic. But I do imagine she's curling up, and mouth guard falls out, and she's just crying at this point, like Azula crying.
Yeah, the Azula ugly cry.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's a soundproof room. I do imagine some people have made
soundproof rooms that don't have the monitor.
Yeah, they're illegal. Like, people do that. It's kind of like in the red districts.
It's like the classic, the classic bookshelf secret door kind of thing.
People have these rooms. Maybe everyone has them because people,
I know what you're trying to say.
Okay. You know what I mean? Like, people do have privacy, because again, it at least in District 6, but, like, there's underground places, like in 4 and 5, like red districts, that they have those sort of things. You guys can fill in the blank of what they do. Keep it clean. Wink. And Tim's like, I'm uncomfy. Point being, I think keeping it in the city might be the best. Or at least they're trying to kick her out.
Maybe it could be more than one movie.
It could be.
Because now, the more that I think about it, I'm imagining, like, Maze Runner, for example. There are 3 movies, technically 4 books, but the 4th book hasn't made into a movie yet. But the entire first movie / book takes place inside the maze, hence the Maze Runner. The second movie takes place. The second movie / book takes place in a barren wasteland where people are trying to survive, and then the third takes place in a big city where they're trying to develop the cure for the zombies. If you haven't read it or heard it, sorry for the spoilers, but, like,
it's
been out long enough. But that's kind of what I'm imagining. Like, we could do something like that where it's 3 books or 3 movies, and this is the first movie, and then the second movie is all about her outside. Maybe the first movie ends with her getting kicked out, and she ends up in that. I really like the image of her in an old, like, abandoned bus that's half buried in the sand, and she's got a little fire going.
I imagine the beginning of the movie is total Mad Max style stuff. She's walking through a desert, got a gun.
Maybe not a gun. I'm imagining, like, maybe she's got, like, a giant wrench or something, or maybe just a pole from the bus.
She totally stole a blaster or something from a robot. something
She
that
got
stuns him.
she's got like an arm, one of the arms.
Arm.
I'm almost leaning more towards she's just unarmed. Like all she has is, you know, the clothes on her back, kind of thing. Like all she has is what is on her, and maybe her uncle gave her an extra mouth guard.
So why did she leave? She just has no place.
I think she was kicked out.
Maybe she left on her own. Like while in like.
Maybe she's having a conversation with her uncle, and she's like, I have no place here. There's no place here for me, not with my condition. And her uncle's like, okay, what can we do to help, kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know, something like that. And then she realizes she basically makes the decision to go, and she leaves.
So what would be the ending of this? Or do we want to make it... I don't even know where to go. I think we've set up a lot. And...
I think, honestly, I think it's good the way we've got it. We'd fill in a little bit more in the actual thing. We'd fill it in a little bit more dialogue between people, more, you know, more of maybe we see her at work a few times, you know, and we see her go into maybe every workplace has one of those rooms, so that, you know, if you need to cough, you go in there and you know, you have
There's
to
certain
log.
rooms that were made like you can't help it, like bathrooms kind of, or like a few safe havens.
maybe bathrooms, maybe all the bathrooms are soundproof,
things like that. Yeah, you're laughing, but could you imagine, like, I'd be terrified walking into the bathroom and someone's just cackling like crazy.
I'm imagining, like, she's at work, you know, and it's like an office job, maybe, and maybe not an office job.
There's 2 doors to all these safe rooms, because you have to go through the first door, close it, second, close it, because if you open one, the laughter would
both will be soundproof. The little in between, yeah, I like it. I like
maybe
that.
Each stall, honestly, is individual. Like, people just don't want to hear each other at all.
Yes,
I know it sounds like an introvert's dream.
Each stall is like an entire bathroom on its own.
Yeah. Oh, it's very limited. And so there's probably a time where she's like, she can feel herself laughing, and she's like biting down, but she can't. Each bathroom is like taken up. She's going through and can't find a space, and she has to, like, I don't even know. She's like running through each thing. Finally, we see someone open the door to the stall, and people totally just be like, "Oh, she really has to go. Her face is red." People are like, "Oh, she's sick." You hear people like gently, like, tapping. There's not knocking. There's like tapping. "Are you okay in there?" And you just see her like, like laughing on the other side of the room, on the other side of the door. I imagine like a very concerned woman or man, like, "Are you okay in there, Joyce? I mean, Jovi, are you okay?"
No, I don't think anybody would be concerned. I think she'd be alone, because apathy. Remember? People don't want to feel.
But some people can't. But it could be a friend of hers.
Could be.
And they're like tapping, and they're like, "Jovi, you
maybe
okay?"
when she comes back to her desk, and you know, her face is still super red, and
oh no, somebody comes and it's their turn to go to the bathroom, and because maybe there's like a time limit or something, like it's well been over and people are trying to figure out what's wrong with her, and she is on the ground in the corner, just won't stop laughing. Just one of those laugh attacks.
It's like a panic attack. You
maybe
know?
she just got told.
You can't end a panic attack.
Maybe she just got told by her parents that they are gonna implement the chip, and it sparked a laughing fit. You know, panic attack turns into it.
Yeah.
So, if this were to be don't even know where we're at. So, if she's in Ring 6, I'm not very good at this. Ring 6 is where she's at currently.
Mm-hmm.
And we want the beginning of the second movie, or at least the second...
Well, I think the end of the movie, she leaves out on her own, and maybe she has like a little backpack, and I don't know about a gun, but something, maybe a big knife.
So what was the conflict? What's causing her to leave? Is she just causing too much?
I think it's just with how her condition is. Maybe it's been getting worse the last few years. She's finding it harder and harder to not laugh, and she's like, if I slip up again, I'm gonna be executed. So I just need to leave before that happens.
Causing all her family too much grief. She doesn't want her family to lose.
Maybe that uncle is found out that he's harboring her, and she's like, she is an outlaw now, and he's executed publicly, and in order to draw her out, or to show her that if she keeps hiding, people are going to get hurt. And that could be a big plot point for later, for her coming back so that she can rescue her parents.
So I just imagine, like, right when he's about to get executed, it's like the music swells. Everyone's getting all, like, it's really intense. We see President Sisyphus staring over this. And then he just starts to sing. Just like a little cute melody. Just something that also is not very frowned upon. Like something jovial. He just starts singing like a tune. And we see some people just smile in the crowd and stop.
Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. That would be...
Oh! Oh my gosh. Many more. I think that would... We are... Ah! And then when she's like in the second movie, when she's like all hazy and it's like hot, she's dragging it, she's laughing.
Instead of hearing laughter, she's hearing people singing Yellow Submarine.
No, not yet. I just imagine she's all hazy, she's hearing her uncle sing, and she looks up and she's singing along, kind of laughing, and in the haze we see a yellow submarine randomly on the ground, and then when she gets close, it's a bus.
Yes, that's perfect.
That's for the second movie.
Yes.
So
I think we can come up with something between now and next week for the second movie.
Second installment. It's just a big story.
Yeah.
Right now we're just talking about a big story. And you guys can decide when this installment is, but She Who Laughs, I think, is it's a pretty big story. And it's kind of reminding me of About Time. In Time.
Yeah. I was imagining it too.
It started to hit. Mm-hmm. But man, why Yellow Submarine?
I don't know. It's just the first song that came to my mind. Like, but it kind of fits.
It fits. It's so random.
It just, yeah.
We'd have to ask permission.
Well, obviously, but yeah, it kind of fits.
Probably really shouldn't sing any. We will read lines. Because that's what we imagine. Can't get sued for reading.
Well, maybe we don't even do that. Maybe we just... And then they sing. Yellow Submarine. By the Beatles. Something like that. I don't know.
I'm definitely going to look up some of the lyrics. Because some of those... That might work really well. It's been a while since I've heard that song, but... you know what? I'm going to be listening to it at the gym later this week. To get inspiration.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, honestly, I think this works, and we've only really established one main character. We have a few other side characters that we've established, and we understand who they are and what's going. going on a little bit, but it's more, you know, we're focusing on Jovi so that
Okay.
yeah.
So
Like, she is the main character. It's
Yeah.
not a series like
No,
the
no.
Three Teddy Bears.
no,
like
this
last
is
week.
this is a pretty big. I think Jovi is a pretty cool character. I think what she lives in sucks. I think it's giving off Katniss. It's giving off.
It's given off major Maze Runner vibes.
And I don't know Maze Runner very well. And is the main character female as well?
No, it's a dude.
What's that one? Oh, is that Divergent?
Yes.
I never saw any of those.
I didn't either.
I think that was during the Hunger Games fad,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was trying to. And this might be our little attempt for, but we all love dystopians, and I think it's something that, you know, what would happen if the world went to crap and we all reorganized? Would it be peaceful or would it be harsher? And I think a world without emotion, without
You know what it could be?
expression.
You know what we could do? And this is just an idea. We could do the three installments, and we could have this is the first one, and then we have the second one, and she goes in, and maybe partway through the movie, she takes a group, or she finds a group of people that are getting ready to attack Magnificence, and so they go and attack, and they tear it down, and it stop. We end the movie halfway through the attack, and then the third movie, we have the attack or whatever, or maybe the second movie she's just out in the wilderness and she's trying to get people so that they can go free everybody from the oppression, and then the third movie is the one that is called She Who Laughs, and she's becoming a legend.
Oh.
And she is known as She Who Laughs. The legend of She Who Laughs.
This is definitely giving off Katniss versus President Snow.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it would be cool if this Sisyphus is not the final person at the end of number 3. Probably some twist. One of her family members.
It's the uncle.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Oh. Oh, indeed.
A twin brother.
Something.
Something.
I don't know.
But I think the first movie would be about building up this world. The main conflict would be, like, second act finishes with her crying in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of third act would be...
I'm thinking the third act is the big speech. She runs, Uncle is executed, and then she leaves the city.
There's 2 speeches. I imagine 2 speeches. First one gets her in trouble. Second one gets her out of the city.
Second one turns her into
An
outlaw.
An outcast. So I think her on the run. So maybe actually the first act ends with her learning about her parents deciding to move up. And that's pretty scary. Because it's like, she's like, I don't think I can join. Like, no, we'll be able to. Or maybe she learns they're gonna put a chip inside her. You know, it's a big step. Their whole family is gonna gonna decide. Maybe she was excited about it, but then that chip can't agree with her. What if she had that issue with laughing, but when the chip is installed, it just makes it worse.
I like it, and then she has it removed, and it isn't as bad anymore. And then as she just gets older, it gets harder.
She learns to laugh. She learns to actually laugh. This woman doesn't know how to laugh. She just laughs. she doesn't laugh for joy, she just laughs. It's what her body does to express itself. And then when they try to put this in, the parents thinking it's going to help, it doesn't. I imagine President Sisyphus puts a chip in her, and it's like the simple process. It goes like on the side of their heads or the back of their necks, and it's just this simple, painless process. But for her, body rejects it, starts laughing in the president's face, and that is what. And as she looks over to her parents, they tell her to run. She runs, and that's the end of, her ending with her uncle and being there crying is the end of Act 2. Yeah. So Act 1 is world building. Act 2 is showing her job and showing all this stuff, her getting nervous about the initial induction of moving to Ring 4 and get the ring and get the chip. Laughs on the run. Final act is her hiding. It's getting kind of tense in that district. People are kind of in I keep saying district, Ring 6. They're kind of getting sick of what it means to them. We see some people leaving on their own. We see new people from the outskirts coming in, like signing waivers. We see it's a lot more rougher. We see red districts with quiet rooms. And then I think the final moments of this movie are Uncle was a
he harbored
harbored.
her.
He works on the harbor.
Yeah.
The harbor.
The harbor.
The harbor.
Yeah. The harbor.
The harbor. And it would be sad because it should be her parents are the ones that turned her in because they don't care.
Yeah.
They've moved up to District 2, but as we've learned, I think the thing that we'll learn in the second movie is that President Sisyphus is just the second you get the chips in, the more integrated you get and the less agency you have, that's the higher citizen you have, the higher citizenship you have, but really you're just one of his minions.
And maybe the chips have more mind control to them than...
That's why I really think some of the robots, like some of the bigger brute ones, are actually people. And that could be a big shock. In the second movie, like they shoot one in the face and it turns back and it's a person. But yeah, they didn't die because they just shot off the faceplate. And when they turn back, it's a person. You're like, oh, President Sisyphus is turning us into mindless robots. Like him. Again, I imagine I've been imagining a man with a metal helmet and no face, like the face stealer, just nothing.
I'm imagining a little bit more in Doctor Who. There's a guy, he's the father of the Cybermen.
I was thinking Cybermen. So
I'm
who's the father?
He's the actor who plays Barty Crouch Sr. in Harry Potter 4.
Yeah.
It's that guy.
Oh.
He plays the bad guy in...
Did he create the Cybermen?
Yeah. He creates the Cybermen to not feel, so that it can be superior. Removes emotion, makes them 100% loyal. And
there are only 4 of you.
It's scary. Anyway, I'm imagining someone kind of like that. If you haven't seen Doctor Who, or particularly that particular storyline, I would encourage you to go watch it. It's really, really good.
All right. So the first movie, though, will end with the execution.
And with the execution, she's hiding. Maybe she's hiding in his home. Watches it on TV, and maybe part of the reason that he was executed was because he tore down the sound boxes in his home so that people couldn't listen to what he talks about.
He was a rebel. He didn't really like what was going on,
mm-hmm.
and he was kind of a leader. And they called themselves The Yellow Submarines, maybe. Or the
The
Submariners.
Soundless. I don't know.
The
Something.
emotional ones.
Uh,
I know something, but it turns
Something.
out maybe he... I imagine she ends up... Maybe he was questioned. Like we see, and he owns like a bar. He owns something in this district. And, you know, they're like, have you seen your niece? And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't have a niece. Like, we know that your brother is citizen 12497. He's like, oh, now you've gotten rid of his name. That's wonderful. And he goes, they said that she was to always come to you if anything were to happen, because she could always trust her uncle Mildew or whatever. I don't know.
I always I've been imagining like Uncle Gilroy or something.
Gilroy? I like the name Gilroy. Like they said that. And it again, and I know I have emotion while I'm saying this, but again, just they said to us that she would come to Uncle Gilroy. Uncle Gilroy is you. Where is your niece? Where is the laughing child?
Where is she who laughs?
Oh. He goes, I know there's nothing. Nope. And like, you will keep your decibels down in front of us. You know, there, because he's kind of getting kind of angry. Mm-hmm. And he goes, and, you know, maybe he snaps and just fights him. Just loses it. You know, you don't want what to happen to your wife happen to you. And just, bam! You know, cocktail across the face. Mm-hmm. And again, it's probably robots. And so he just starts burning one or something. So, big fight. Gets arrested. She sees it. And she could be hiding from like a...
I'm imagining like she's hiding maybe upstairs.
Yeah.
Like I'm imagining...
Or a basement.
I've been imagining taller buildings. Like three anywhere between 3 and 6 stories for a regular building, and then all the office buildings are a lot higher.
I imagine her and like a few other people are hiding because it's like a, you know, because they want to have fun still. So they're in the basement where the soundproof walls are happening, but they can't be too loud, especially with the high sensors on these robots. And, you know, the robot's like, we know of your quiet rooms. Shall we check those? And he goes, no, there's nothing down there. And everyone's like trying to hide her in something, but she's getting nervous and she's starting to laugh, and you see people like covering her mouth. And finally, when they go to like reach down, that's when he like starts either singing or starts fighting. Gets arrested. Is executed. I think fighting would be more severe.
I think fighting.
Maybe it's a ring 1 citizen, one of the officers. Mm-hmm. Punches them. That's completely unheard of. They don't fight. But I also imagine for a split second, this person turns around and just no emotion, nothing, just, and it's just this hit. Perfect, beautiful punch, and then sets his arm back down slowly. Like, he punches, his arm is in front of him, puts his arm back. You are under violation. Take him away. And then executed, sings. But Jovi couldn't... She's not going to just watch from a TV. She's stupid.
You're right. I'm imagining, like, she's up on a roof somewhere.
Maybe
watching.
She's taken one of those gags and she's changed it into, like, a mask for herself. But... she's like fighting it, and right when he starts singing, she's like, no, and just starts laughing. Or maybe just starts laughing. Just can't help it. I want the laughing to be a crutch, like you've said.
Yeah.
And like finally, like she can't, like her jaw, like she's laughing so hard and her jaw is so wide open that the gag just falls off. And everyone hears her, looks up, and just ominous pointing. Ugh.
And we have a short sequence of her running, jumping rooftop to rooftop. Slides, grabs like a grain gutter or something, slides all the way down. You know, runs out.
You see people with the stun, like these stun sticks, that paralyze people so they can't scream because again, no emotion. Mm-hmm. So when they stun them, they petrify them.
Almost like Nightwing's batons.
Yes, and maybe she gets them from a guard, like tackles a guy, gets them, and so you don't even hear that. You just hear just quiet.
Maybe she just takes the one.
Yeah, takes the one. A robot comes and she gets it like just a lucky swing. It grabs her, come with me, and like stabs it in the center, and it just seems off of why it froze. Because again, it was a human. Oh. So maybe the end of the movie is that really sad scene that I said would be the end of Act 2, is her leaving and laughing, but then it just turns into just sobs.
Gets to the... I like the idea that she's in that bus and she curls up and she's laughing and then just starts sobbing, and then it fades out. And we start hearing the uncle singing almost in like an ethereal-ish voice. The Yellow Submarine.
Maybe I want to kind of use your scene of the man riding a horse and blocking a thing, but the opposite. She's going off away from the camera, dragging the baton, and she's sobbing. It finally she stops laughing and starts sobbing, but then all of a sudden starts singing "We All Live in a Yellow Submarine," and then it slowly has a chorus join. And
then it fades into the black credits.
Yep.
I like it.
So
perfect.
We know that this is a rough draft. But I like it. Oh boy. And we just hit 2 hours. So I think we're going to do a pause, and we will come back for part 2 next time. Maybe this will be the first time we ever do a 3-part thing.
Yeah, well, Star Wars, but that's different.
Oh,
that's more 6. That was a 6-part.
That was 6-parters over months. This
almost a year.
Well, tune in next week to figure out what happens to Jovi. Jovi. Her name is now Jovi. Mm-hmm. Jovi. She Who Laughs. I think I like this little dystopia we made.
I'm liking this story a lot.
Okay.
It's a good one.
We'll try not to... We'll make a few notes, and anything that comes to our mind, we'll discuss. But the goal is you guys are hearing us make this story.
This is our pitch meeting.
Yeah.
We're creating this story with you guys. And if you have any ideas on how we could make Jovi better, make the story better, let us know. Or if you have any ideas of a story that you want us to tell, a story that you want us to create that's original, let us know, please. Again, we have an email, we have a Facebook page, we've got a TikTok, we've got Instagram, we got it all. So just, let us know.
Hit us up. Well, thanks everybody. That was a lot of fun.
I don't have anything else to add. So, until next time, be kind to each other, love each other, laugh a lot, and we'll see you later, pitches.
Bye.